You're doing everything, managing work, home, kids, and somehow you're still feeling like there's never enough and you're not doing enough or you're not even good enough. But what if the real reason you're feeling this way isn't because balance is impossible and you're not actually doing enough? It's because you're believing a set of myths about work-life balance that are keeping you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and stressed out. In today's episode, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest myths about work-life balance that so many working moms believe that are causing them to feel stuck. The ones that make you feel like there just isn't enough time, that you should be able to figure this out, that if you just wait a little longer, magically work-life balance will come. These myths feel real. I know, but they're the real reason why you're overwhelmed, exhausted, and feeling like change is never going to happen. If you feel stuck in a cycle of overwhelm and stress and burnout, this episode is for you. You ready? Let's get to it. Hello, working moms. I want to jump right into today's topic for this episode. We're going to be talking about the 5 myths that you're likely believing as a working mom right now that is preventing you from experiencing work-life balance, that is kind of keeping you in a stress loop or an overwhelm loop. And this conversation that we're having today came from a conversation I had last week with one of my clients. After her session was over, she just kind of off the cuff mentioned to me that she'd been really talking to a couple of her friends about reaching out to me and starting to coach with me because her experience of coaching with me one-on-one was so transformational that she just really wanted her friends to have the same experience. But her friends were really resistant to reaching out. And so we started to talk about this resistance. I started to ask her, why do you think they were resistant? What excuses sort of do they have to not reach out, to not, kind of go down this path of even talking to me about coaching. And it got us talking about a lot of the excuses that we tend to have as women that sort of get in the way and hold us back in our life. Sort of the excuses or the myths or the stories that we women believe that hold us back from living in full confidence, full power, and truly experiencing the happiness and success in all areas of life, really. These myths or excuses or stories, you kind of might hear me use those words interchangeably today in this episode. They feel so true. They feel so real to women that you probably don't even realize that you're using it as an excuse to hold you back. My coaching is a cross between life coaching and executive coaching, where I really help women that are parents learn how to advance their career and feel really successful in their life with kids. But I can't do the work for you, right? I set up my coaching containers in such a way that I give you the absolute best possible chance of being successful. There's built-in accountability. There's flexibility in the structure. I tailor my coaching specifically to you and your circumstances. But when it all gets down into it, you are the one that has to make the change, right? You cannot be relying on your spouse or your boss or your job or even me, right? To achieve the regret-free life that I know that you want. And so if you're feeling stuck, where you feel like you're failing at everything, you're not achieving the success or the satisfaction in your job at the level that you want, and you feel like you're not giving your kids everything that you want to give them, if that's you, then it's likely that you are believing one of these 5 myths that I'm going to dive into today that is really holding you back from feeling success. But when you can identify which of the myths you're believing, that's going to give you insight on how you're going to get yourself out and how you're going to get yourself unstuck. And really, if we were to coach together exactly, it would point us literally to what we need to focus on in coaching to make sure you create the most success and you achieve the most out of our time in coaching together. A myth is a story, right? I like to think about it like it's a folklore. It's been passed down from generation to generation. And likely you are believing one of these myths because it has been passed down to you. We are still a part of a generation of women that are fighting against cultural stigmas about working moms, cultural biases that are unspoken, that are continuing to kind of perpetuate these stories and these myths that I'm going to share with you today. But if you want to break the generational cycle and you don't want to pass these stories down to your kids, to your daughters in particular, and you want to shape a different story for women and what's possible for you and for women as a whole at both work and home, then it starts with you. Right? You need to be the one that gets out of the lies, out of the myths that you're telling yourself. And to be honest, coaching with me as your executive life coach is the fastest way that I can offer that to you. So if this episode resonates with you, if you've been listening to me for a while, or maybe you just found me, but this is like really hitting home for you, and you are tired of being stuck, I have a transformational method that is going to eradicate imposter syndrome, any lack of confidence. It's going to help you get crystal clear on your priorities, on your goals, and equip you with the necessary tools to manage your schedule, your time, and your energy so that you live a regret-free life. If this resonates, your next step is to reach out and to book a breakthrough call where we will dive into your unique circumstances, your unique challenges, and I can tailor a plan for you to ensure success and happiness as a working mom. As always, the links to connect with me are in the show notes. To book that call, you can specifically go to RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com/book. Okay, so let's dive into myth number 1. We're going to go through each of these. I want to share with you exactly how I see them show up in the women that I work with so that you can hopefully self-identify which of these you kind of resonate with the most. And that's going to give you some insight into what your next steps are. Okay. So let's dive into myth number 1. Myth number 1 is this: I need more time, right? This is likely the most common myth. It's the number 1 story that I ultimately help my clients unlearn as we start working together, because time is not what creates success as a working mom, right? It doesn't magically create balance in the same way that money doesn't magically create happiness, right? This myth is connected to what you are telling yourself about time and your ability to control it, right? So it's likely has some flavor of saying there's not enough time. If only I had more time. If I could just get one more thing done, then I could shut down, then I can rest, then I can do my workout, whatever it might be, right? It's connected in some level to how you're thinking about time and how you're thinking about how much you accomplish. And that is usually also connected to time. But it's really not ever about the quantity of time, right, that creates work-life balance and success in your working mom life. It's about how you choose to spend your time, right? It's about aligning your schedule and the decisions you're making about how you're using your time with your priorities, your values, and your goals. That is why the clarity process in coaching is so essential. It's literally the first step of the ambitious and balanced process that I use in my group coaching program. It's clarity, confidence, and control, because you have to feel crystal clear around what is truly important to you and why it matters and what important moments you want to prioritize throughout the day. Like literally your brain needs direction. And in coaching, I walk you through a process of gaining like crystal clarity over that. Because the truth is, if you don't change your relationship to time, or if you don't change your relationship to your calendar, your schedule, that's another way of saying that, where you truly feel in control and can say no to the things that you want to say no to and yes to the things that bring you life. Like until you're able to achieve that, work-life balance is always going to feel elusive to you, right? So myth number 1, I don't have time. If you're believing that, you're going to remain in a cycle of burnout, remain in a cycle of overwhelm and kind of feeling stuck. Myth number 2, second myth that you're potentially believing is I should be able to do it on my own. In other words, asking for help, delegating tasks, or not being able to do everything on your own is a sign of weakness or even failure, right? I was just thinking about this the other day. During the feminist movement in America, which was back in the 1960s and 70s, right? Women were finally given the opportunity to take jobs in any line of work, right? Women were finally able to rise the ranks in leadership. You could no longer discriminate against people based on gender. And so women were able to get into industries and jobs and make more money than ever before and really prove to the world that they were just as equal as men. But women had to put more time and more effort into being successful. The problem is, while women were on an upward trajectory in their career, We did not simultaneously change the story that women should be the primary caretakers at home, right? So women started essentially working two full-time jobs. The double shift started. The reality is that was only 50 years ago. 50 years is not a long enough time to change the cultural story of women's roles at both work and home. And consequently, it's a huge reason why there is still a pay gap and a leadership gap for women in their careers. You have to change the story that asking for help is failure, that somehow you're not good enough if you have to ask for help, that you're not strong enough, that you're not capable enough if you ask for help. I had a client in the last Ambitious and Balanced cohort, and I think I spoke about her recently on this podcast, who was struggling with this story, with this myth that had literally been passed down to her from her mom and generations before. And the myth was tied to asking for help, right? She sort of believed that having it all meant doing it all. And if she had to ask for help, she wasn't doing it all and she was failing. If she wasn't making the homemade dinners, if she wasn't keeping the house clean or delivering at work at the highest level, if her body wasn't healthy, if she wasn't attentive to her friends, essentially, if she wasn't doing all of the things, that she was failing. That was the story she was telling herself. It was the myth she was believing. And really signing up for coaching and joining the Ambitious and Balanced cohort was actually a really big step for her. It was a big deal because she was deep down admitting to herself that she did, in fact, need help. And then, of course, in the end, joining the program, this very fast-paced 3-month coaching program, it absolutely catapulted her. It accelerated her into not just feeling balanced, but feeling happy. Because that's ultimately what coaching does. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in order to figure out how to manage your demanding career and have the home life that you want. Literally, I have coached hundreds and hundreds of women through the process. I can coach you too. And that was ultimately what she tapped into. But if you're believing this myth, just like my client, you're likely telling yourself, just like she was, I should be able to do this. I'm going to look weak if I ask for help. I should have gotten more done. I'm not good enough. You likely worry about other people's perspective, being seen as weak, being seen as not, delivering at the highest level. Taking time off is probably really a struggle for you because it requires you to delegate and let go. And if you're believing the myth that you are the one that has to do it all, then that's going to be really challenging for you. So hiring me as your coach is not a sign that you failed. It wasn't a sign that she failed. It's a sign that you're smart, that you don't need to reinvent the wheel because there's somebody out there that knows what it takes to create sustainable work-life balance and truly thrive as a working mom. I mean, why not tap into that knowledge and that expertise? It's why you're here listening to this podcast. It's what I do. I break down work-life balance in such a way that you feel completely in control of it. Okay. So let's move into myth number 3 that is keeping you from experiencing sustainable work-life balance, that's causing stuckness, that's causing the cycle of overwhelm. And it's this: my circumstances are different. Right? My circumstances are harder, are unique. I don't have family that lives nearby. I'm all alone, right? That's unique. That's special. My job is extra demanding. My job requires travel. My husband doesn't help out. My kids are high needs. Right? All of these are examples that I have heard from working moms that are keeping them from truly experiencing happiness and success in their life. It's keeping them from tapping into tools that actually work. Right? Look, I am 100% an advocate of you. I believe you are special, that you are unique at what you do, that you bring certain qualities to your job, at home, and to the world that absolutely make you remarkable and special. In coaching, I help you kind of tell that story that you're telling yourself about yourself so that you believe in how amazing you are, right? I'm 100% about that. But the truth is, while you are unique and special, your circumstances are not. I have coached everyone from CEOs and founders to solopreneurs to teachers to people that work in industries where there are billable hours to those that have more flexible jobs. And I can tell you the foundational principles and tools to create sustainable work-life balance are the same for everyone. Continuing to believe the story that your circumstances are different and unique so that you somehow need a unique solution that's holding you back. I know without a doubt that you can create sustainable work-life balance. I know it so much that I offer a money-back guarantee in my Ambitious and Balanced coaching program. If you are not making the progress that you want to make, if you are not seeing yourself make different decisions and feel differently about your life, then I give you your money back. That's how much I believe in this process. Believing that you somehow have insurmountable circumstances that will forever prevent you from truly experiencing balance is not useful to believe if you want to create a successful, balanced life as a working mom. It just isn't. Myth number 4 is this. This is just a season. I have to wait it out. And for women that are believing this myth, they are likely thinking work-life balance is possible for them at a later time. When my kids are a little older, when this project is over, when my kids are finally out of diapers, after this quarter is over, once this project is done, when I'm done with the holidays, right? Of course, everyone has seasons of life that are busier than others, but the belief that work-life balance is not possible in the midst of a busy season or a challenging circumstance is a myth. I had a client that did like taxes. She was a tax preparer and she did all things financial, right? So the season around like March and April, February, and then for sure March and April were really busy for her, like way busier than any other time of her year, right? And it was kind of cyclical. Every year she could plan on this. And she came to me in coaching specifically during this time, because she said, if I can figure out how to create work-life balance and be happy and like control the amount that I'm working during this busiest season of my year, then I can do it anytime, right? I was so proud of her for starting coaching right there in the midst of the busiest time. I had a client that was really struggling with her toddler aged kids and their morning routine. She found herself, she was always rushing out the door, snapping, even yelling at her kids most mornings. And she would tell me she just couldn't wait until her kids were finally out, able to put on their shoes and take care of themselves a little bit more and their basic needs, as if somehow if she could just get through this season, like it would all magically, she would just be able to feel less rushed. She wouldn't be pushing so much. She wouldn't be so irritable all the time. And I remember I told her, well, you could wait around for that day until they are able to do that, or we could just have a conversation now around what it would take for you to feel less rush, to push less, to get less irritated with them in the morning. Mic drop, right? It's a little bit of a reality check, isn't it? To believe that right now it's possible for you. I don't want you ever waiting around for the season to change, for the project to end, for your kids to get a little bit older, a promotion to come through. I don't want you waiting around for anything in order to experience the happiness and the joy and the success that you have created and want in your life, right? It's a myth to believe otherwise. And the moment you debunk the story and believe the truth that you are in control of your own happiness and your own success and your own experience of work-life balance, and believe that it's possible for you right now, no matter the circumstances, that's when you'll actually go after it. All right. Diving into the last myth. This is a little bit of a tricky one because it creates confusion and it pulls you out of strategic thinking mode. And that's the very reason why you're likely remaining stuck and in this cycle of stress and overwhelm. Here's the myth. I don't know. 3 words. I don't know. I don't know how to create work-life balance. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to work on first. I don't know what I should be doing right now. I don't know if this job is a good fit for me. I don't know if this is what I really want anymore, right? You fill in the blank. I don't know, and fill in the blank. Last week during one of my coaching calls with one of my clients, she told me that she didn't know. She said this, I don't know if I want to be on the promotion track. That was her version of I don't know. She started to like dive in immediately, going into, why she didn't think she wanted to be on the promotion track and sort of what she was afraid of and her fears. And I stopped her. I said, hold on. Your brain is asking you a question and it's kind of couching it in this idea that you don't know. Your brain is asking you the question, do I want to be on the promotion track? But it's coming out, I don't know if I want to be promoted. But really, there's a question in here that needs to be answered, right? If you continue to focus on what you don't know and the fear involved in it, you're going to always remain confused and never make a decision, right? Because I don't know doesn't create clear decision making. It creates confused decision making or stalling or like inaction on some level, procrastination. So from there, here's what I said. I walked her through the steps of getting crystal clear on what she did know about getting promoted and if she wanted it ultimately. And by the end of our call, she was like at like a 7 or 8 out of 10 on clarity. She wasn't confused anymore. It is always a myth to think, I don't know. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, whether we're talking about changing your job, creating work-life balance, where you want to spend your time, what you should say yes to, what's the first thing you should do as you sit down to work today. You always know. It's a myth to believe otherwise. In coaching, I don't ever let you settle for I don't know. In our work together, if you come to me saying, I don't know, I stop you and I say, hold on, that's not where confident decision-making comes from. Confident decision-making never comes from not knowing. It comes from focusing on the things that you do know. All right. There you go. The top 5 myths that are preventing you from experiencing sustainable work-life balance, causing you to feel stuck and overwhelmed. Number 1, I don't have time. Number 2, I should be able to do this on my own. Number 3, my circumstances are different or harder. Number 4, I have to wait. I have to wait out the season. And number 5, I don't know. Working moms, you were made for more. More joy, more happiness, more time for yourself, more snuggles with your family, more feelings of success. You deserve more. You are worthy of more. These myths, they're holding you back, and they don't have to. You don't have to also reinvent the wheel. This is exactly what my coaching containers are designed for, and I would love to speak with you about how I can help. It starts with a phone call. I call this a breakthrough call. This is an opportunity for you and I to dive specifically into the circumstances and challenges that you are facing right now, to gain insight in what's preventing you from experiencing the successful working mom life that you want. And for the first time, probably seen a plan and a path forward and exactly how to achieve it. I have just a few spots open in my coaching practice right now. And I'm also speaking to women about joining the May cohort of Ambitious and Balanced. So I would love to speak with you on a free breakthrough call. If you would like to schedule that right now, you can go to www.rebeccaolsoncoaching.com/book. All right, working moms, let's stop believing the stories, the myths, the folklore, the things that have been passed down from cultural generation to cultural generation. You can have everything you want and achieve the life that you desire, the happiness, the success, the work-life balance, I promise. All right, working moms, until next week, let's get to it. The next step to getting unstuck and having more days where you bounce out of bed feeling certain that you're doing exactly what you want to be doing, regaining your confidence, ending all of that negative chatter in your head, is to book a free breakthrough call. This is a strategy call where I will guide you through setting a vision for the life that you want to lead as a working mom, and then I'll lay out a plan for exactly how we will achieve that together through one-on-one coaching. You can book that call by going to RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com/book. All right, working moms, let's get to it.